Are you allowed to say these things on YouTube? Of course, they like it, if you expose yourself and being able to call you all sorts of things. Will you lose all your followers in the near future, get demonetized and kill the algorithm for your own channel? Of course. To make one thing clear in advance, I am not concerned that channels run by black content creators should have fewer followers, like them just as much. Only when you compare channels from Star Wars Theory, Tyrann Magnus and Critical Drinker, which are roughly in the same league, do you notice that there is a gap of 1 million followers. Everyone knows whose videos the YouTube algorithm generally prefers, which channels are demonetized more often or whose content is blocked. Are white heterosexual content creators disadvantaged by the YouTube algorithm? Does the content really only play a role here? It's sad that this question has to be asked because, even for the DEI group, it should initially only be about creating equal opportunities here. But this is now going way in the other direction. Channels run by black creators are not only preferred, but those run by white creators, and even worse, heterosexual ones, are disadvantaged. It's not me who plays the card, it's the YouTube algorithm and whoever said it that way. To balance that, here are a few other topics with white content creators. Oh, you probably want video evidence that they are doing all this and really said it? Look at a few of my videos, everything is solidly researched, it's just a project that's important, even useful, but hardly anyone watches it anyway. That's why Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers Style, just let the content speak for itself. We'll talk about Craig from Side Scrollers. Jeremy falls into the same category, completely underestimated, far too few followers, more on that later. Lately I've been questioning my role models and you should too. Nobody expects you to always be on the right side or to have the right opinion on every event. Some statements and actions just don't make sense. Most people will get so upset at the beginning of the video that they won't finish watching it anyway. It just doesn't work without a few examples, although there is certainly some self-criticism involved. If you can prove me wrong or know better, feel free to leave me a comment. Blabbering Collector quote, "I like my men like my coffee. Black." In the meanwhile she is upset that Severus Snape in the upcoming Harry Potter series should be cast with a black actor. Maybe a good example of how she can separate her private life and work. Critical Drinker, open bar lately is just guys who talk about women's issues without a woman in the panel, while they dutifully review musicals, complain about the fact that there are hardly any attractive women in pretty outfits and that the barometer for the musical they are talking about is at maximum gay. Jeremy is only said to appreciate it. Anyone who knows him knows that he is married with a wife and child, although that doesn't matter, everyone can organize their private life the way they want. If anyone watched Rogue Elements, except for the musical part, that came at the end. If you find an attractive outfit in this film, please timestamp it as a comment and no, we're not making a fashion review here, but when you produce a film at such a high level, it's hard to claim that you didn't have the money for sensible clothing in even one scene. Instead of a review of Rogue Elements, which after a week still has less than 300,000 views between videos with well over 1 million, there is one of Wicked. Who does a review of their own production? It would be an argument if you had been the director of the film and not just a co-writer, so it would be possible, necessary, and even sensible, but to look at this objectively as the Critical Drinker and not as Will Jordan. We all know that he could do that, so don't tell me what doesn't work. It would have been 3 times more exciting than the Wicked review. There was more than enough of that. My ears are still ringing from my review, which is why it was at the end turned out completely different than one might have expected. A review from Critical Drinker about Rogue Elements would have been unique. No one will dispute that, and I would bet my YouTube channel that it would get over 1 million views in less than 7 days, if he really lets it rip, like he usually does. From the previous videos you know how much I appreciate both, but let's be objective. Critical Drinker is no worse in direct comparison to Star Wars Theory or Tyrann Magnus, but he has far fewer followers and the growth of his channel is deliberately slowed down. The same goes for Blabbering Collector. She is on a channel almost every day, with almost 115,000 subscribers and doesn't even have 6,000 herself. But who is actually the smartest of all? Of course the one who is most underestimated, or is considered the stupidest. Craig, he has completely figured out YouTube. The quickest way to get ahead here is to state that you are a black lesbian, overweight woman. The YouTube algorithm loves that kind of thing, just like constantly suggesting videos to me about the Third Reich or which form of death is the most painful. Have I ever even remotely clicked on something like that? No, I'm not interested in such things. Pay attention to what videos you get suggested and don't imagine that this happens for no reason. We urgently need an independent alternative to YouTube. All this nonsense about strikes is completely outdated. The community guidelines don't protect anyone from anything, they're just about being able to enforce an ideology involuntarily. Let's finally create an independent platform, something like X, only for YouTube and free of charge. I would prefer the platform to let the users do their work and get a share of the revenue from the videos. Oh, that's exactly what YouTube does, and yet they don't protect you, they patronize you. If your content does not reflect their ideology, it will not be suggested. I would like to have a platform that stands up for its users, protects them against attacks from within. For example, copyright claims from YouTube employees are assigned to companies in exchange for financial participation outside even more copyright, or whichever mob wants to cancel someone again. Stands up for freedom of expression and supports the creators in what they do and doesn't restrict them more and more or push everything further and further to the left. A platform on which creative videos reach the most users. Imagine if people clicked on the videos voluntarily and could pause or change them at any time. Nobody has to be protected from anything. And what about the video suggestions? How can you suggest such content to users and at the same time distribute copyright strikes as a moral community guardian? Absolutely ridiculous. We need an independent alternative, all content creators to join forces, to become strong enough to keep YouTube in check, and not make more and more compromises while barely growing, or only as we move further and further away from what once defined the channels. The platform tries to shape creators in their image with a mixture of the threat of channel loss, copyright strikes, and increasingly strict community guidelines. If everyone has their own website, that's one solution, but why not a shared solution? Why don't the biggest content creators get together and create their own platform? That would make more sense than reviewing musicals or getting upset about what else is going on in the world. It's better to ask yourself how much longer you can talk about something like this here without being punished by the algorithm or constantly demonetized. Because you will. Who wants to tell me that Critical Drinker couldn't already have over 3 million followers? Take a look at the system. Why shouldn't white heterosexuals be disadvantaged here, now that they are almost everywhere else? We know all of this and won't change anything about it. Except Craig, he does something and understands it. The rest of you will probably only understand too late who is the smart one on YouTube and who you should listen to. But please, watch the wicked review of Critical Drinker for the third time. Of course it's funny, but what did everyone really expect from him? A review of Rogue Elements, and I bet he would have no problem doing one. Only you all know what YouTube wants from you and how you get a lot of views. So you dutifully carry on with your musical reviews and convince yourself that everything is fine. I make my own content and continue to listen to what Craig has to say. Maybe someone should listen to the adult with a wife and 2 children every now and then who really knows what he's talking about, while others either don't have any women on the panel or don't even recognize real wisdom when it's live on air with you every day. Yes, even if it's in your contract that you're supposed to pick on Craig, maybe a little more respect would be in order from time to time. On the other hand, it's a show, and this video is just meant to entertain you and make you think. Do I mean any of this personally? Why should I? When does it become dangerous when people no longer talk to you but about you or don't talk to you at all? And as I said at the beginning, no one watches videos like this until the end. But I told you, even if you didn't hear it. There was nothing more I could do except learn something from it. I check it every now and then, but if you don't change anything it will only get worse, you know that for sure. If you're smart, you can set up our own platform and let Craig run it, because he can actually do something like that. If you need help, you know where to find me.